What is up? Welcome to the NBA Rundown, brought to you courtesy of Run Pure Sports and Run Pure Bets. I'm your host, Astaire, joined today by Tyler Hicks and JSU. And boy, JSU, am I happy to see you because, we're going to break down these games, but we got some other things to talk about too. How have things been going with you, JSU?
They've been pretty good. Can't complain. DFS has been going good. We had another really good night. Was real close to a big shipper last night. Still took down some solid money. Did pretty good. Some of the members I saw did some pretty good things over there. So yeah, some good calls in the DFS streets. I saw Tyler and you guys had some good calls on the. I'm assuming it was yesterday's show.
Yeah.
I saw some screenshots of that. So congrats to you guys and whoever hit some of the wins. I saw a few guys on Twitter, but I'm assuming some more guys in the chat probably hit some winners. So congrats to everyone who did that. And yeah, I'm ready to talk some hoops. I always love coming on here on Thursdays and chopping it up. We might not get as many game by game breakdowns, but we'll break down NBA in just a general fashion. So I always enjoy it.
Yeah, and I look forward to this show too, and we're gonna have plenty to talk about before we jump right in, right? Because the chat knows where I'm going.
Get it out the way now, Spread.
No, before we do, you got to take the victory lap, man. Tell us about what happened last night and what you did for the Run Pure Bets members in the Discord.
I mean, we got the show parlay home. We had another parlay of 3 money lines: Hornets, Mavericks, Suns. We did 5-1, and then we were 2 points away from hitting the points plus assist parlay at like 7-1. That was LaMelo to clear 28.5, CJ to clear 28.5, and CP3 to clear 24.5. And CP3 finished with 22. So it was close, but we got 2 out of the 3. I'll take that.
Oh, I love it. I mean, you're doing great. And so, I mean, we had to lead the show with that because at this point, like if I tried to tell my gambling buddies about it, they wouldn't believe me, right? And they probably wouldn't take the time to go back and watch all the shows. But it's just been incredible what you're doing. So we definitely had to lead into that. And guys, make sure you stay tuned because, of course, Tyler will give out another one at the end of the show. But JSU, I've been so excited to see you because we've been having a running conversation on the show this week. And I'm in my own camp here. It's me against the guests, against Tyler, against the chat. But I have a feeling that you're going to be on my side. But I said, if you're not, I'll just let it go. So the question is, who is the better player, Devin Booker or Ja Morant?
All right. So I'm going to preface this by saying I have not watched any shows, so I do not know which side you are on, Spread. I think
okay.
I hope I know which side you're on. I have I don't really know because this is a good question right here. So who is the better player? Are we talking about right now, or are we talking about career wise, I don't know, in 10 years? Because obviously Devin Booker's a little more, he's been in the league a little longer, right? So what are we talking about? Give me a specific
if you were building a team, who would you take? And
that's a different question. That's a different question, Tyler, because I would say right now Devin Booker has to be more accomplished, right? No, I don't think we can argue
just
that.
The longevity he's got him because he's been in here almost 7 years already, and Jaws at 2. So
right,
he can't
that's what I mean.
So he did in 2 years and 7.
Okay. So since we already have that understanding, I think that Devin Booker is one of the best scorers in the NBA. I think that Devin Booker is clearly a superstar, but I think Ja Morant could be the face of the NBA in 5 years.
Yes.
I think that he has that type of talent where he hasn't even scratched the surface. This is how crazy it is, in my opinion. He hasn't even scratched the surface in how good he could be offensively as an all-around scorer. Remember, the jump shot is still in a work in progress, I would say. So the fact that he's doing what he's doing, and he is his team is doing what he's doing, without listen, Devin Booker, if we're just talking about shit, the dude is he's the purest shooter right now outside of Steph Curry in the NBA from anywhere.
And KD.
You know what I mean? And KD, thank you. Okay. Actually, and I just meant from a jump shot perspective, his jump shot that's the that's like the purebred jump shot, in my opinion. Even over Steph, like just looking at the jump shot, I think it's the prettiest jump shot by far in the NBA. That is like the perfect jump shot, in my opinion. But Ja is not even close to what he is offensively, Booker, and I still put him right next to him being that raw. So when he hits his ceiling, which I think he will, he's going to pass a lot of people. And it's going to be, I'm not saying he's not Giannis, because Giannis is 7 foot and he's a freak. So he can't get there, but he's going to be a freak as a point guard. And it's going to be scary when everything comes together. So for me, I would take Ja if I'm starting a team, saying I got this dude for, a really long time. And I think there's still more to grow. I think D Book, and this isn't a knock on D Book, and I don't know if you guys disagree with me. I think D Book is hit like his ceiling, like where he's going to be. Like I think.
I mean, he's an MVP candidate, so that's a pretty good ceiling,
Right?
right?
I'm not saying that's what I'm saying. Is like I don't. There's no more. I don't think he's going to be able to do. I think his game is amazing. He's already a superstar. So is Ja, and Ja isn't even close to the polished offensive player that Booker is. That's, in my opinion, how crazy it is that Ja's a superstar right now, and I don't feel he scratched the surface. It's almost like Giannis, like 3 years ago. Everyone forgets this, obviously, because Giannis, the last 2 years, has improved so much. But, like, Giannis was a superstar, and Giannis couldn't shoot at all, right? And then all of a sudden, the last year plus the playoffs-ish, he started to get a little better, right? He started to knock down free throws. He's starting to hit some outside shots. And we're like, holy shit, this dude just got better. This is insane. Like, can he really get that much? Yeah, he could. Once the jump shot starts to come, and I think Giannis will continue to just develop, because we've seen it with older guys, even guys that aren't polished shooters. As they get older, they just get better. Shooting is the one thing, over repetition and time, you can 100% improve and improve and improve and become a better distance 3-point shooter. And Giannis is showing us that. I think Ja, to a little bit of a lesser extent, is in that stage Giannis was 3 years ago, where it was the dude is a superstar, but he's still got so much room to grow. That's Ja Morant right now. You'll see it in a few years, face of the NBA. Ja Morant's going to be right there with everybody else. Jokic and Giannis and Embiid and all those guys. They'll be right there.
All right. Yeah, good. So it's good to have some support here so we can keep this debate going with all the
where was the
with
chat?
all the guests.
Was the chat like
most of the
against
chat's on Booker.
Yeah.
Their pushback right now is naming players that stay healthy majority of the year. When you put Ja in the mix, he goes to the bottom of that list because he can't make it through a whole year. Basically, they're saying like his style of play, like
they're putting the injury as a downgrade. Okay,
you know who I think it's going to be obvious who he reminds me of? Derrick Rose. Like, gets to the rim at will, gets whatever he wants at the rim, can dunk over you, hit some jump shots, but he has this very just 100-mile-an-hour play to where he can step one wrong way and it's like, oh, there goes his knee. Or there goes his ankle.
That? Do you remember that running floater move that Derrick Rose, in my opinion, was one of the first guys where he would float the ball, but he'd be going left. He'd be jumping in the air left, and he'd still keep his arms straight and float it to the back. Derrick Rose, you're right. Young Derrick Rose is probably the best Ja Morant compared. The one thing I will say, I think young Derrick Rose was actually better at than Ja right now, is he had a pure mid-range shot. He didn't have a distance shot, so it does still fit with Ja. I still think Ja is he's still, that's where he needs to, he's got to perfect either the mid-range shot or it's going to go from the mid-range to the distance. He's amazing in the middle of the floor. That's where he scores a lot of his baskets. When you look at Ja Morant, it's a lot in the middle portion, that free throw line and down area, because he's so quick. And when he gets downhill, it's really hard to slow him down. But if you can keep him out on the perimeter, that's how you can beat Ja right now. Eventually, though, once the shooting comes, which, if injuries don't get in the way, I think the shooting comes, and I just think he explodes in the NBA. But I get it. I get knocking him for the injury stuff because the way he plays, I mean, he just tries to dunk on everyone, which I love as a fan. Like, I don't know how you can't love that as a fan, right? Like, watching John Morant is fun. Like, it just is. Like, I just wait for him to run left or right down the lane, fill a hole, and then to just throw him an alley-oop, and him just, like, fly in the air, twist his body, and hammer it down. Like, I can't get enough of it.
All right. One thing I want to jump in there on the Derrick Rose comparison. I would say that Ja has a higher basketball IQ, where Derrick Rose was more of that, baller, just get a bucket guy, right? I think Ja knows when he needs to be a scorer and knows when he gets to get his teammates involved a little bit more. But of course, that's really subjective, and we'd have to go back because it's been, about 10 years since Derrick Rose's prime. One thing I want to touch on real quick.
Glaucoma to B-Book? Tell me it ain't so.
I don't think he got in on the debate.
No, because this started on Monday.
Title started it, and then Mangone sided with Booker.
Mangone, it was on Booker too. Yeah.
I sided with Booker. Spread was the lone jaw guy.
You know what it is? You know what it is, Spread? It's the upside to the guy who's already polished. You know what I mean? It's like the safe call, in my opinion. So it makes sense that like Mangone and Title took the guy who's already established. But I think clearly the upside is way, way high for you to be like, oh, like there's just no way he can eclipse Booker in the league. I just think that's crazy. Injuries could riddle it. That could be I think that's the only way, in my opinion, he doesn't get there. So, which it's possible, right? We've already seen him get nicked up a ton.
All right, and the chat can't stop talking about Luka. So let me just jump in, and I'll give a quick Luka take here.
You got glaucoma, and they're trying to campaign for Luka right now.
So I'm going to give a quick Luka take, and then I'll let you guys take it over from there. Kevin Clooney says Luka is the modern-day Larry Bird, and I'll disagree with here. Watching Larry Bird, I would say that Jokic is closer to Larry Bird, and you're going to say that's crazy because he's a center. But the thing is, in the 80s, forwards didn't dribble around behind the three-point line. That was not allowed. So because of that, Bird was a spot and shoot shooter from behind the arc, but they didn't shoot threes that often. Most of the time, he did his work either in the high post or a lot of low post mismatches because he was a 6'10", 6'11" small forward. So he reminds me a lot more of Jokic than he does Luka. Luka, he's, he kind of grew up, in that Harden era. So that's my thoughts on Luka here. And of course, when you're in the conversation, Booker, Luka, Ja, you really can't go wrong. You're going to be able to win a championship caliber franchise around all three of those guys. But that was just my little contribution there on the Luka. What do you think, JSU?
Yeah, so I agree with you. Actually, I like the Larry Bird to Jokic comparison. First of all, Jokic is 7 foot, so he's a center, right? But he's not really a center, right? Centers, like he hangs out on the perimeter so much. He passes the ball like he's a point guard. You could make the argument that he's the best passer in the league. He does everything a guard does. He just has a center's body, right? So we put him as center, but like honestly and truly, I just think of him as like a point, like how they call point forward. He's a point center to me. Like he's the point guard. He facilitates the entire offense. Like the ball's in his hands. He dictates where the ball goes, whether it's in the hoop or to an open cutter, shooter, corner guy. Like he dictates all of that. So in my opinion, he's a point guard who's just really tall and big. Like that's how I see him as. And I think it's terrible that like when they do the all NBA stuff, him and Embiid can't be first team all NBA, right? Because they're both centers.
No, they changed that. They changed
that. They're changing that.
They said they're both forward eligible, so they can both make that first team.
Oh, good. Because I was going to say they should just take it completely out. Just put the 5 best players as the all NBA team. Who cares?
Right, because it gets interesting there with Tatum. Is he guard eligible?
Well, listen to this. Like Jokic, if this team had to play, Jokic or Giannis are both first team all team. And listen, they can be my point guards. what does it matter? You know what I mean? Like, I think personally Luka would be on it too, so it wouldn't even matter. But that's just my opinion. But in the end, it's like Embiid, Jokic, Giannis all deserve to be first teamers. So, like, what does it matter? It
And
should
who do
be
you go?
positionless.
Luka and Tatum? That's who I'm thinking.
It would be, for me, it would definitely be Luka for me. It would be those three bigs that I talked about. And then, do I need a guard? Is that how it works?
Yeah,
I
now
need
you
one
kind of
guard.
left it a guard. But like I
Maybe
said,
the
they're
guy we
pretty
talked
liberal
about
with it
already.
because they'll give Tatum.
Tatum's going second team.
Tatum's not going first team.
They're trying to shove Devin Booker in this MVP conversation, and there's really no way to get him in there because there's not enough time left. He's going to make first team NBA. He's going to get
who
that
would you
guard
have?
spot.
Booker, Ja as your first team?
It's going to be Booker,
problem
Luka,
with Ja
and then
is
the
that
three JSU names.
He's been injured in my head a good amount. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I would personally put him in there if he wasn't injured, because I think the season he's had, besides being injured, has been a really friggin' good season. But then you look at what this Memphis team does when he's injured. It's like, well, they might just have a really good team on top with a really deep team. So, I don't know. It's close. Devin Booker. I don't know who else. Who else would even?
I mean, if you put LeBron as a guard, you can argue with him there.
I mean, I guess KD too. Like, KD should be for. What am I saying? Like, KD should be on this.
He's another one.
As a guard too.
He's another one though. He missed a lot of the season.
Though. How is he? How don't we just play?
He's actually played more games than Ja, I think.
Who?
KD.
Yeah.
That's the problem with those two guys. Is like they're such good players, but then you look, it's like, oh, this guy missed 30 games. It's like, oh shit.
Yeah.
That's my point, though. Is like, why can't it just be the 5 best players? Forget about positions. All NBA teams.
I'm sure they'll switch it to that too, especially with the incentives being linked, which is something that I think they need to change. Yeah. So, all right. Is there any other general NBA we want to discuss before we go into the schedule tonight?
Nope.
Anything else you saw, JSU?
I hope Tyler has changed his opinion on Jokic being the MVP. The odds have started to flip too in his favor. I'm sure Tyler's seen that one.
The MVP race is over for me. I can care less. I just hope some of you guys that were on Jokic's stack bet him, because I had a 30-1 ticket on on Embiid. So while I was getting all that shit, I hope somebody at least clicked the place bet button.
So he's winning. You agree now?
Yeah, he probably wins now.
Yeah.
He was probably going to win it anyway. I was just holding on to my 30-1 ticket.
I don't know. I really believe that if Embiid kept up what he was doing and they didn't go on this little lull, I think they would have gave it to Embiid.
Yeah, that was the thing, is the moment he slowed down and Jokic kept at the pace, he got it.
Jokic just continues to friggin' crush, too. Just another dominant game, and that team sucks. Like, yeah.
All right, well, let's get into Joel Embiid's game tonight. The Philadelphia 76ers on the road in Detroit, taking on the Pistons. Pistons plus 10 at home, total of 225.5, plus 398 on the money line for the Detroit Pistons. We talked about that game a lot. And JSU, if you want to get into what you saw, make that part of your breakdown too, because I thought that was such a fun game. And of course, what made it more fun was I was on the Bucks money line. But it was a great game overall. That's a tough emotional loss, but what a get right spot. Heading to Detroit, you take on a young team that's not necessarily that competitive right now, and definitely prioritizing development over, winning rotations and trying to win the game. So I think they did a great job setting this number. Detroit's been a little frisky at home, for a little while after the All-Star break. Now they've fallen off. They've won. They're 2-9 in their last 11, right? So that little run ended, but of course Jeremy Grant's out, and I thought that him and Cade together kind of provided some tough decisions for other opposing defenses to make. Now they know, just put our best guy on Cade and just let the rest of the guys go from there. So number seems right to me. But number one, I'd love to hear your thoughts on that game Tuesday night, and then of course start breaking down this game, JSU.
Yeah, I mean, that first of all, just to hit this game quick, I agree with you about the number. I still think Philly comes in off of that game where what a game, honestly, against the Bucks. But I think Philly comes in. I think they kind of step on the Detroit here and blow them out. That being said, I don't really like betting like kind of the higher spreads where you're getting close to the double digit. I see 9.5, obviously. So I think I would lean taking the Sixers if I had to bet it. But this is going to be one game I probably won't bet on the card. But if I had to give a bet, I think it's Philly, because I do think Philly comes in and steps on Detroit. I mean, they struggled too. This is a game where they gotta come back and get a dub here, just for their confidence alone. I mean, I think Embiid's gonna crush, just dominate. And then you look at that game against Milwaukee. I mean, I hope these teams link up. Like, I want to see a series with these teams, or at least Philly going to the Nets, one or the other. I hope we get one of those two, because they battle. Like the Bucks and the Sixers, they definitely battle. And he's a tough cover for anyone. And then Giannis I feel like Giannis gets up for like the Sixers and the Nets, those two teams. Like, I think he knows that those are two teams he's definitely going to have to see, at least one of them anyways. And I think he gets up playing both these guys. So I'm going to be really, like, I think Giannis is going to be my favorite stud on the slate, just not to derail it too much. But, it's tough not to play him here against the Nets. But for DFS as well, might as well hit this. Like, this is going to be a game I fade. Like, just because I think there's a blowout. I don't really love the price tags on some of these Detroit guys. And then obviously, if I think it's a blowout and I think there are other studs to spend up for, I'm probably not going to spend up for Embiid or Harden. So this is going to be one of those games I X out on this 5-game slate.
All right. And this is why, I really enjoy the chat and everything you guys bring, because, I do my best to be a good host, but, I am doing tennis too. I do miss stuff, here and there. Our guy Steven says they cover tonight. Robert thinks it's a first half cover. And then Eric Chang brings this up, and I probably should have led with this. Even though they're 2-9, they are 15-2-2 against the spread in their last 19, right? And this is a pretty advantageous, right? Steven says, what about the covers? Well, hey, you know what? Excuse me for overlooking that when I did set this game up. Tyler, they're asking, what about the covers? Plus 10 seems like a good spot, but boy, you're going against a Philadelphia team that I'm thinking is going to be pretty motivated to put together a good performance coming off that loss, right? Because that's a momentum killer. They were down in the locker room. We saw the way that Embiid was. Okay, he doesn't have Ben Simmons to blame, so now he's got to blame Doc Rivers. But before you think I'm going in on him, he was absolutely correct in what he said. Absolutely correct in what he said. The question is, do you deploy that in a regular season game, right? And was Milwaukee smart for making that push with Embiid in there? My only, follow up on that would be, if I'm Budenholzer, maybe it was a good chess move, right? Because I've shown, okay, I need to have Embiid mimic Giannis on the minutes. For those who don't know, Embiid called out Doc Rivers saying, hey, when we lost the game is when I was on the bench and Giannis scored like 15 points in a row or whatever, because I wasn't out there to stop him, right? Great point. He's absolutely correct there, right? But now I'm Budenholzer, right? I put that move out. So now if they do meet in the playoffs, does he match his minutes? I trust Giannis's conditioning more. Am I baiting him into really tiring out Embiid, who we've seen falter down the stretch due to conditioning issues? And I don't necessarily want to blame him. I'm 6 feet. I can go run around the park like I did this morning, right? 7'3", right? It's hard on his body to really go on the conditioning. But I also wonder if that's the next chess move. But pretty long setup there, Tyler. My question is, do the covers matter? How do you approach this game?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to side with Philly here. Just like JSU said, I think there's some better spots on the board, though. I really don't want to lay 9. Some of these player performance double, like James Harden to get a double-double and win, is even money. I don't hate betting that. Hit Embiid to score 35 and win. It's a high number, but they really don't have a big to stop them. Like Marvin Bagley, Isaiah Stewart, those guys ain't keeping him away from the rim. So he could put up 35 in this spot. So 35 and wins plus 225. If you think he gets close to 40, they have a 38 and win at plus 390. I don't hate that one either. And then his 5+ assists and wins plus 225. If you like this spot for Maxey, his 20+ and wins plus 225. And his 3+ threes and wins plus 260. But I think Philly for sure gets the job done today.
All right, let me pepper you through some questions from the chat here. Tobias, points and rebounds over tonight, 21.5. What do you think, Tyler?
Yeah, I don't hate it. I mean, he's another guy in a good spot to go up against his front court where he could just dominate. So You just got to hope he gets you there on points.
All right. Our guy Samurai Piggy wants to go under on Cade Cunningham. What do you think of that, Tyler?
I mean, he's going to probably draw James Harden defense, maybe some Thibault, but he should be able to get there.
Yeah, I'll draw Thibault. I bet a lot.
Yeah, this will be interesting too. Thibault's such an interesting player for them to go because they need that defense now. But he is going to be a problem on offense when we're getting to the playoffs. So here's a question for you, JSU. Is Killian Hayes worth a look tonight? Because there could be a blowout and maybe he gets some more run.
Yeah, depending on the value, I guess he could be worth a look, especially if I know Corey Joseph is questionable. If he's out, then he definitely could be in play either way. But yeah, I think it's going to depend more on what other type of value we get. It's still 4:00, so we got some time. Obviously, you never know what value can pop up late. So yeah, for now, I think he's in play. If Corey Joseph's out, then I think he's even a little safer of a play. Doesn't mean you have to play him, but he's at least been playing well like this later in the season. So I can get on board with it.
All right, and there's no team that's better at navigating that value when it does pop up than the Run Pure Sports team. Use that promo code Get Bets to become a member. Get the core plays and all the pivots as we get the late news. Last one from Eric. He says, "I like Philly early. First quarter differentials are significant." Yeah, you know what? But Detroit's been starting off good too. So if you want to go there, I don't think it's the worst move, but Detroit has been fading in the second half as of late, because, and maybe I'm thinking of their first half numbers, but that would worry me. I could see it, where they hang early and then get blown away as the game ensues. But yeah, that's an interesting look there as well. I think this is a game that it is nice to try and attack some of these differentials. So let's go to before we get to the main event, let's go to the Cavaliers and the Hawks. We'll knock that one out really quickly, right? The Cavaliers, boy, they're decimated now. No Mobley, no Allen. LeVert played well last night. JSU, you're a big Karis LeVert guy, right? And I was on the Mavericks, and he was the guy that was getting me worried there in the second quarter before the Mavericks absolutely exploded from three. I didn't think the Cavaliers played that bad a defense either. I thought that Dallas just played really well. I was watching that game and I was pretty happy, being a Dallas backer. They were close to 50% from three. I think it was like 16. It was really good. I can't remember the numbers off the top of my head, but it just felt like, every other 3-point shot was dropping. That's what it felt like watching that Mavericks team. So I don't necessarily downgrade the Cavaliers. That was a tough loss here. But now they have to travel to Atlanta. Atlanta, a team that's playing well, won 4 of their last 5, play much better at home as well. And once again, this is just a spot where if you have strong perimeter defenders, right, and I do like DeAndre Hunter, and I think that Herter can be a little underrated just in his ability to not get the stops and shut you down, but at least make you work and be kind of nagging and annoying, right? I worry because this team is so dependent now on getting their scoring from the perimeter through Darius Garland and then the minutes that Karis LeVert's out there. And when you have multiple wing defenders like the Hawks do, you're so much better at home. I'm going to lay it with the Hawks. I'm taking -6. What are your thoughts, JSU?
Yeah, I mean, first, we can't downgrade the Mavericks game because Dallas has been playing really well, really well, especially after the All-Star break. They've been one of those teams that's been doing really well. They're up to, what are they, third in the West? I mean, behind Phoenix and Memphis.
They just passed Golden State, right, last night?
Yeah, they just passed Golden State. So, I'm not downgrading them from that game. Now, this game is interesting because from a DFS side and from listen, these are two teams that want to win. They definitely want to win, right? The Cavs they're 7th, I think, right now, and then the Hawks are 10th. Now, I'm pretty sure that these teams are locked into at least the play-in because unless the Hawks go like 0-5 through their last 5 or whatever it is, and New York, goes 5-0, I still don't think they catch them. So the one thing I will say about this is you got two teams that want to win the game. They're going to push their starters. Look at what the Cavs have been doing with their minutes. Darius Garland's been playing a shitload of minutes. You talked about Karis LeVert playing a ton of minutes. They're kind of chopping up that rotation, kind of slimming it up a little bit and running fewer guys. this is what we like for DFS. So I'm going to say this has got to be one of the more intriguing games on the slate for DFS, just from that perspective. You got two teams that want to win. There are some playoff implications because, hey, listen, Cleveland still got a shot to get out of this play-in situation, right, Spread? I mean, there's still some games left.
Oh,
Toronto could lose a few games at the end of the season. I haven't looked at who they play.
And Mobley's, that's a sprained ankle, right? I mean, it's not crazy for him to come out. It's not that meniscus tear that Robert Williams has, right? So he gets back in there, and they're back on track. Jared Allen also on track to come back next week.
They could still win a game against Atlanta, like with who they have. You know what I mean? That's not like this isn't some crazy game. I would say though that Atlanta is doing the same thing, right? Trae Young's been playing a crap load of minutes, right? They're pushing their guys a little bit more. But I think I'm going to lean the points with Cleveland. I think this is a close game. I think we're going to get a close game here. I think Cleveland has a shot to win this game. I know you talked about the perimeter guards, but I just think right now, when you get Karis LeVert, which we figured out, Spread, he's off that minutes limit, right? So that minutes limit, and now you got Garland and them two. I think Garland's just a stud. They're a tough team. I know that losing Mobley is a big loss. Allen's a big loss, but I still don't think they're that much worse than this Hawks team. I just don't really like this Hawks team. And they got a couple guys questionable. And maybe if all those guys play, they could, sway me a little. But I don't know. Like, I'm just going to take Cleveland. I think this game is a really close game, and it's 6 points. So I'm going to take the 6 points in the Cavs here and take my shot. Both teams, they both played last night too. So, I mean, they're both coming off back-to-backs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a great point there. So, Tyler, I like the chalky Hawks. JSU is going with the scrappy Cavaliers. Break the tie.
I'm going to side with the Hawks here. I think they pick up the win. I think the 5's like dead on. So I'm going to stay away from the side. But some of these player performance double. Trae Young to get a double-double and win, plus 120. Trae Young to score 30+ and win, plus 160. Kevin Huerter to score 15+ and win, plus 180. I'm not touching Clint Capella because his minutes are just all over the place. You could even go up to Trae Young 35+ and win it, plus 330. And then for guys that like Cleveland, like JSU, you could do Darius Garland double-double and win, Cleveland 3-1. If you think Karis LeVert has a nice game, 18+ points and win, plus 330. So there's some ways to get on this game other than laying the 5, but I'm going to side with Atlanta and those Trae Young.
I like that Garland double-double. I like that. The dude's just playing a ton of minutes. The ball's always in his hands. Like, yeah, that's a good one.
Well, they're also running a couple guys out there that don't do anything on offense, right?
You mean like half their team Spread?
Yeah.
Like half the team?
I mean, it's not like he's ball hogging and there's talented guys like not getting the opportunity. So
even if his team was healthy, though, he'd still have the ball in his hands. That's just how good he is. Like, he's clearly the alpha. He's clearly the man on that team. Like, it's not.
But if Evan Mobley and Jared Allen are out there, I can make a call for a more diversified offense, right? But now I'm just like, Garland, do your best Trae impersonation. Let's see that, Luka. Like, just run the offense. But let's jump into the chat here.
I mean, he's still the alpha over Allen and Mobley.
He is, but I'm just saying, I think that he needs to get them involved. I don't need a 40% usage from Garland if those are out there. Yeah, but I'm fine with it if it's there tonight. A FanDuel question from our guy Steven. Is LeVert a smash play on FanDuel at 5,200? What do you think, JSU?
I mean, he's going to be extremely popular at 5,200. Like, yes, I think he's a very solid play because of all the guys that are out, but you got to also take into account like ownership and some game theory here. It's just kind of depending on what you're doing, though. Like, this is how I look at these type of plays. Now, if you're some dude who can lock a chalk play in because you just can't imagine not playing him, and maybe that's Karis LeVert, but you feel comfortable about getting unique somewhere else, then I'm fine with it. Like, I'm fine with doing that. Just understand what you're doing, right? The guy's going to be 60% owned, probably 60% owned for a good reason. He's way too cheap for the minutes he's getting for what his upside is. It's just if you're a guy, though, that struggles with getting unique, maybe you build out your team, it's a little more chalky, so you got to fade a chalk piece, and maybe that is Karis LeVert. That's kind of up to you guys, though. Like I think he is a really good play, but the projection is going to show that everyone who runs their optimizers and stuff, he's going to pop a ton in the optos, and for that reason, he's going to be very highly owned. So you just got to figure out, like, is he just too good of a play to not play? If that's the case, then figure out a way to play him and still get unique in another spot, which is totally fine. And you do in DFS probably every day. So that's what you got to decide.
All right. I'm going to ask both of you guys to start with Tyler. If I put the over under at 60 fantasy points for Trey, Tyler, do you go over or under tonight?
I'm just going to go with the under there because I'm not sure how the stats break down to that 60.
Okay. So, all right. Maybe that's not the best.
Exactly.
All right. Well, let's just go to JSU for that, since you know them all. Do you think he'll get over 60 tonight? If you were to do the prize picks, would you go over or under 60 fantasy points?
Okay. So if Bogdan, Gallo are both out, I think he goes over this number. But if they play, I think he takes a slight step down in the scoring department, which maybe could affect him in the fantasy department a little bit. Because look at what he's been doing. If you just pull up, Trey's been awesome recently. He had 60 fantasy points last night. He had 41 points.
He had 60 in 29 minutes, right?
It was ridiculous. I watched the game. It was absolutely ridiculous.
You're better than me. I didn't have that one on.
They played against OKC, so I don't want to go.
You're the man for watching that.
Trey,
I had the Hawks, Celtics on, and I had the Knicks and the Hornets on. Not too much better.
I was sweating out my guy Sar for my DFS lineup, so he came on strong in the second half. My guy Sar got it done for us, but so we can't go that. But okay, he got 66 against Golden State. He got 47 against Indiana. He got 40 against Detroit. He got 61 in New York against New York. Look at these games, though. It's not like this isn't like Luka where he's hitting that 70 burger, 72, 80. Like the dude is getting 60 or 61. Like I just think it's a little too high for me to take the over on it personally. Unless, like I said, if those two guys are out, then I might lean the over. But right now, I think that number is set perfectly, and I wouldn't touch it or I'd go under if you just have to bet Trae Young.
All right, and I'm going to combine these two. This is for you, JSU. He said, could this be a sneaky stat game tonight? And then go ahead and answer this. Is Big T. Parabay guarantees Big T stacking this game. What do you think of stacking this game tonight?
Yeah, if this game's going to be sneaky, I'll stack this game on all three of my teams. I can't see it being a sneaky game from a game stack perspective because, like I said, Parabay's saying he guarantees Big T's going to stack this game because he knows, and this is why Big T – from a game theory perspective, you got two teams who are both fighting for playoff implications. They're both playing their guys a ton of minutes. Yeah, this is the exact type of game that Big T will attack as we get closer to the playoffs. Teams that care, right? Teams that care greater than teams that are playing to lose, right? OKC, Detroit, like these teams don't want to win. You know what I mean? They're already out. They don't want to win. So why are we attacking them, right? So that's obviously what you want. And this is clearly the game, right? If I pull out all these other games, let's see. So LA, Utah, just like Philly, Detroit to me, one team's, in it in LA. Yeah, they want to win, but did you guys watch? I hate to go off, but I'm going to go off right now. Did you guys watch the Lakers Dallas game?
It was 128 to 110.
So I didn't catch much of that one.
I had it on. I had the -12, and I never felt like it was in danger. So I had two TVs going, right, and I just
so you didn't watch it.
I had it on, but I didn't really get into it
because I stacked that game in all my DFS lineups. So I was very invested. So I sat down. I watched the entire game. It was on the main screen.
You
right?
deserve plaudits for sitting through some of these games.
No,
JSU.
listen. It was so disgusting. This is how bad it was spread. So in the first quarter, you guys didn't watch it, so you didn't see this.
I
but
didn't have the first quarter.
They ran middle pick and roll with Dwight Powell and Luka Doncic for almost the entire first quarter. I swear to God, they got a layup from Luka, a dunk from Dwight Powell, or a foul or floater from Luka for like literally 8 minutes. It was ridiculous. Like, it was absolutely ridiculous. The Lakers couldn't figure out a simple middle pick and roll. They didn't know what to do. Literally, Luka, they'd set the pick. Luka take 2 dribbles, hesitate, and then be like, oh, I got a right-handed layup. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I can just lay the ball in. There was nothing. There was no protection, nothing. Dwight Howard was so confused, didn't know what to do. Stanley Johnson was trying to guard Luka, and no success. So after that, they decide, like, okay, now we're going to, like, hedge out or, like, not allow the middle pick and roll. Well, what happens now? Dallas just gets a ton of threes, wide open threes for Reggie Bullock. The Lakers, literally defensively, they just don't try. They either they don't know what they're doing, which I refuse to believe, because these are NBA players that have played in the league for a long time. They can't be this dumb. So they have to understand it, and just it's an effort thing. And when I see an effort thing like that's glaring, like, that is a team that literally, without LeBron, they're dead. Like, they're going to lose this game by 30 to Utah in Utah. I don't bet big spreads like that, but you can book. I'm going to bet Utah at home, one of the better home teams, but like, I'm going to bet Utah at home against this Lakers team with no LeBron. They don't care. Like, I'm not betting the team. Russ is like yelling at all of his teammates and stuff like that at the timeout. It's like, Russ, dude, you gotta do your thing. You know what I mean? Like, focus on, you playing well, not worrying about your teammates' effort. You know what I mean? Like, try.
It's got to be frustrating for him, right? When you're like the fastest, baddest athlete in the world, and it starts to slip, and you're trying your hardest, but there's nothing you can do.
I don't think it slipped. I just think that
I don't know. I thought he looked
he
more explosive and he could jump better at OKC.
No, I'm telling you right now, he like fake tries because he's like pissed about, all the criticism he's gotten and stuff like that. And yeah, I'd watch Russ try. When Russ tries, because Russ was a tryhard in OKC. He was a tryhard pretty much everywhere he was until the Lakers. I've seen him try. That dude could get 20 rebounds a night if he wanted to. That dude could grab 10, 15 assists every night. He could have a triple-double whenever he wanted to. Because 10 points, even though he sucks at scoring, is easy for him. Because he can just get fouled, get to the cup. He still has the athleticism to do it in the NBA. But when you see all the other numbers start to go down, that's when you can tell, like, okay, Russ isn't trying as hard. Because any other year, he'd be getting double-digit rebounds, double-digit assists easily on command.
All right, check in with the chat real quick. I think we pretty much already answered this, but I'll reinforce on this price picks, especially because they don't move like the sports books. I would wait for that news, and I love the over if those two are out, and that's what the panel's saying too. Maybe under if they play. So I would kind of wait on that. I'm going through the rest of this chat. All right, thank you for this, Eric. Jonathan Nelson didn't watch. Thank you, West Coast here. And all right, I'm going to miss some of this chat because we're doing so much. Let me just go to the next game, and then I'll filter through the comments.
By the way, Bojan is back. Whoever said without Bojan, they're awful. Well, Bojan's back, so.
Yeah. Bojan. But we're still waiting on Bogdan news, right?
Yeah, don't get confused. Yeah. Bojan is on Utah. I'm talking about that Bogdanovich, not the Bogdanovich for Atlanta. But yeah, Bojan's expected to play, so.
All right, JSU. Well, I'm a little worried, so we might end up cutting that. You guys got your Lakers Jazz breakdown already, but let's go to the main event of the evening. This is the game that I cannot wait to see. And JSU, that I'm Team Bucks, right? If Milwaukee and Brooklyn meet in a series, I'm going to pick the Bucks. But tonight, I'm taking the Nets. And I'm going to tell you why. Because number one, I think that the Nets match up better with the Bucks a lot better than the Sixers do, right? Because let's look at the Sixers' best player, Joel Embiid, right? And we always talk about the Embiid matchup. I was thinking about it today on my little run. Giannis is probably the best player equipped to guard Embiid because number one, he's strong enough to be down low. He's actually quick on the perimeter. So Embiid can't just bring him out and cook him out there, right? So Embiid's still going to get his, but he's a great defender against him, right? Now let's translate that to Kevin Durant, who is so much better on the perimeter. Giannis, of course, is going to contest and make him work. And this, of course, is at the end of the game. They're not going to match up the whole game. But when the game's on the line, right, I think that I like KD being able to get loose on the perimeter a little better than Giannis, than Embiid attacking Giannis down low. Also, one of the things in our handicap when we took the Bucks over the Sixers was Jrue Holiday's ability to slow down James Harden. And, I think time slowed down James Harden a little too. He doesn't have that same burst. Still a great, fantastic player, right? But not as fast. Then you contrast that to who Holiday is going to draw tonight, Kyrie Irving, who is in his prime. I mean, this dude is as fast as ever. Handles are better ever. Skills are better than ever. If you drop off and you say, okay, fine, I'm not going to let you get to the rim, he's going to pull up. His mid-range game is unbelievable right now. Great basketball IQ. And if you try and ban him close, he's just too fast. He's got too much handles. He's going to get to the rim, and he's going to get your bigs in foul trouble. And he's going to finish most of the time, too. So I love this matchup, the way that the Nets match up with the Bucks. Of course, I would like the Bucks in a full series, but the Bucks coming off a really emotional win against Philadelphia, which felt like a playoff game watching it. I mean, that was so much fun, right? While the Nets kind of played a 24-hour fitness style game against the Pistons where, they scored a lot of points and they ran up and down the court. Wasn't necessarily that physical, though. Wasn't chippy at all, right? Great sportsmanship, like we would play JSU if we went out and played. Hey, great job making that shot. Oh, you beat us by 6 points. Here's your dap. Great game. That was a lot of fun, right? So I think because of the situation and the matchups, I like the Nets here tonight. What are your thoughts, JSU?
I don't know, Spread. I'm pretty feisty on the court. I don't know if I'd give you a dap if you beat me.
Oh, okay.
Just here to throw it out there right
hey,
now.
I'm 45 years old, so I probably wouldn't beat you.
If you scored if you did have like a nice move on me though, I'd definitely like pat you on the back or give you a knuckle or something like that. I'm a sportsman when it comes to like if you impress me on the court, like I'll definitely give you props. But yeah, I'm a competitor, Spread. I don't like to lose. Let's not go crazy here. But yeah, so I actually agree with you. I think that the Brooklyn Nets have the best chance to beat this Milwaukee team in the East. I think they're the team that in the playoffs gives them the biggest challenge. And it's because of all of what you said. You got the Kyrie Irving where, I mean, let's just be honest. Like the Nets have the two best scorers in the NBA. They just do. They're on their team. It's KD and Kyrie Irving. Scoring. Not saying just overall. I'm not saying I picked them first in the draft. I'm not talking about that. Scoring, they're the best two scorers in the NBA, and they literally can do everything. That's the thing about their games. They're so polished. Like you were talking about with Kyrie, it's like no matter what you do, he's going to make you pay. Like he's so good and he's so crafty. And KD is so crafty and he's 7 feet tall. Like it's just ridiculous. Like, it's not, he shouldn't be able to do what he can do with the basketball. It's insane. Giannis is very similar in that way where it's just like ridiculous. But as a polished scorer, I mean, KD is that. If Giannis ever even got close to the type of scorer KD is, Giannis is the greatest player ever, and there'd be no debate. If he got even close, like it wouldn't be, it'd be over. But I think that Brooklyn at home, I love it. I think they're going to win this game here. I don't know who wins in the series. We'll have to do a playoff pod for the for breaking down the entire playoffs once we get everyone seated to where they should be. So we'll get our picks there. I got to get back for Spread owning me with the Bucks, even though friggin' oh god, Brooklyn. Katie's toe. Get your toe back a little bit, Katie. Come on, man. You need to help me out a little bit. But anyways, yeah. I think that the prop, though, there's got to be a prop. And Tyler, I was waiting for you to talk because we got to have some type of like Kyrie to score 35 plus a win. What's the odds boost for something like that? Or like KD double plus a win, like
KD 30 plus and win plus 180. Kyrie 4 plus threes and win plus 220. Kyrie 30 plus and win plus 255. KD double and win plus 290. KD 35 plus and win plus 330. And then KD 4 plus threes 5-1. Kyrie 35 points and win 5-1. And I think that's it. Yeah, and then a Kyrie Irving double if you like that, but I don't think he's getting there.
Yeah, I don't know if I like that one, but I definitely like either taking like the points with someone like Kyrie, just taking like that 35 plus and win, or taking like you could take like a 4 plus threes, which you said was like 220, or something like that. You could take something like that too, because the Bucks, just the way they protect the rim, are going to give up more three. They just push teams to take threes. You know, it's just the way they defend. So, yeah, I think you could do something like that too, because I agree with Spread. I think they win this game tonight.
Do you agree with us though, Tyler? Who do you have here?
No, I'm on Milwaukee here.
I thought you were going to.
Give me the deeper team with the deeper bench. I don't care about the emotional win last game. They could push this team down a little bit more in the standings with this win, and their win kind of pushes them closer to the top. I think it's a weird matchup too, because now you have multiple guys you can throw at Kyrie. I know it might not mean anything, but you could throw Holiday at him. You could throw Middleton at him. Giannis going to have to guard KD at some point in this game. That's going to be the big decider here. If he just wants to lurk around on the outside and not guard him, then Brooklyn probably wins. But I think he's going to go at him tonight and guard him. I think that's going to slow KD down a bit. I'm going to side with Milwaukee here. And some of those player performance double. Well, some props on the Brooklyn side I like. We all know Milwaukee sacrifices three-pointers. They let teams just shoot them. KD, 2.5 threes is plus 108. Kyrie, 3.5 plus 110. Seth Curry, 2.5 plus 104. I like all of those. And then as for the performance doubles on the Milwaukee side, I like the Giannis double and win at plus 130. And him to score 30 plus and win. But the other thing I was looking at too is like, we seen this matchup played last year in the regular season with a total like this, and they basically showcased the playoffs for us. Both guys put up 40. KD hit 6 threes. Giannis hit 3. Why don't we just same game parlay like KD to score 35, Giannis to score 35, Giannis to grab 12 rebounds, KD to hit 4 plus threes, and go from there and leave the side out of it.
All right. We'll have you build that one out by the end of the show. You brought up Curry. Got to mention, right? In 15 games with the Nets, 48.5% from three. I mean,
yeah,
so,
he's in a dream scenario.
It's a great spot for a guy like him too, because he's going to get some opportunity here with Kyrie and KD on the floor and the way the Bucks defend. So yeah, it's a great spot. I mean, I will say too. So like Tyler, so both these teams, I guess, right? They want to win, right? Because the Bucks. They probably want the 1 seed, right? You would say,
I would say so.
And the Nets, it's a slim shot, but I'm sure they'd like to get out of the play-in situation if they could.
They'd like to hold off Charlotte and not be ninth. They're only half game out of the hole.
They would probably want to win one game and not have to worry about getting knocked out with some just random loss where the team rolls in and shoots 50% from three.
Correct. Yeah. So just looking at these teams right now and the way that we're talking about them. So Giannis played, and I was actually shocked. He played 38 minutes against Philly. I was actually surprised he played that much because you guys know with Bud, I mean, he doesn't push Giannis to that very often. Like he does it every now and then, but he's normally around like that 34, 35 range, I think, in the minutes perspective. So when you see him get pushed to 38, this is probably another game where he does get extended if it's kind of tight like the Philly game was. So if we're all thinking that, but these Nets guys, they're playing 40 minutes. Like these guys, KD played 42 and 39 the last two, Kyrie 41 and 40. Like these guys are just playing massive minutes. This is a game they want. I have a tough time going against the Nets. And where was it? Someone said it in chat. I got to find it. So Perfect Rotation said, you think Kyrie going to drop 35 on Drew? So I got two things. One, I don't care who the hell is guarding Kyrie. I throw that out. When you talk about the best players in the world, especially the best scorers, gives a shit who's guarding them. He can take anybody down. I'm serious too. I'm not coming at you. I'm
that's the way the
everyone.
league is now.
This is how it is. And second of all, he dropped 38 last time they played this team. Withdrew in the game. Dropped 38 real points, like not fantasy points, like 38 real points. So yes, I think he can drop 35. I think he could drop 35 in any game at any time he wanted to. And the only reason why we don't see it more is because he's got someone named Kevin Durant who, can also drop 35 at any time he wants to as well. So that's just something. I never some people take individual matchups, I think, too far because we've seen it with Luka. Look at what Luka does every time he's on the floor, right? What do? Spread. They find the weakness in the defense and they pick and roll until they get him switched on Luka, and then Luka attacks, right? Like they just will find the weakness in you. Teams, if they don't switch, then Luka's gonna find the open guy and attack them. So it's just teams will figure out how to maneuver against any defense in any single defender that is really good nowadays. These guys know what to do.
All right. Yeah, I definitely agree with you there. So this will be a fun one. And Tyler, I've been getting the better of you this week when we've been going head to head, right? I had Miami last night. I didn't victory lap that because we had so much to do, but we'll see if you can get your comeback on me tonight. We might be opposite here too, Tyler. I think we're going to be opposite here. The Los Angeles Clippers are in Chicago taking on the Bulls. Bulls are laying 2.5, total 221.5. Clippers are plus 122 on the money line. Man, this Bulls team, I don't know. I like the Clippers here. I'll keep it short because we've been going for a long time. But with Paul George back, this team of role players has a star, and it's like everything seems to be right. Reggie Jackson, go back to being that secondary scorer, right? We'll feed you when you get hot. We don't need you all the time. And all these other guys that are just built to support a star get to do exactly just that. PG, 34 points in just 31 minutes in his first game back. I expect to see another big game from him tonight. I'll take the plus 2.5. JSU, what do you think?
Yeah, I did not expect to see PG play 37 minutes that first game back. Did you guys?
It was only 31, I think, wasn't it?
No, they cranked.
I thought it was 37.
I could be wrong.
It was
31. I was wrong. It was 31. Okay, I was wrong. But yeah, either way, 20 field goal attempts. I mean, looked pretty good in his 30 whatever minutes on the floor. This is a tough game. I think I do lean the Clippers with spread. I'm just not a Chicago fan. I've said it on the show for a while now that I've always thought, even when they were in first, right? Like, I just never believed in them really. Like, I knew when playoffs came, they weren't winning shit. They're not beating the top teams in the East. They're going to get rolled by the other, top 5 or 6 teams who, 6 teams probably, because I'm counting the Nets too that are an 8th, but let's be honest, the Nets are not. They're not the 8th seed, right?
They're the second favorite by the odds to win the East.
Exactly. So yeah, and I think they pretty much lose. I mean, I don't know, guys. Who in this top? Who would Chicago beat in this top top 8? Maybe Cleveland. Maybe
Cleveland. Well, I don't know if that would even be close.
If Cleveland's healthy, I think Cleveland beats them, honestly.
Yeah,
I would take Cleveland, I think. Toronto? I actually might take Toronto, too.
I'll take Toronto for sure. That's easy. Yeah. That's easy. I'll take Toronto. With OG Anunoby back the way they've been playing, I'll take Toronto.
Chicago's the Knicks from last year, just built a little different. They're more of an offensive team, no defense. They ain't doing nothing in the playoffs, just like you said. We just got to line people up that want to bet on them and be like, I'll take the other side.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, they're getting hard to find, though.
Take the Bulls so we can go against you. Like, hopefully. I don't think people are going to fall into that trap, though. They're going to have to play. I mean, they're going to have to play like a Boston, a Philly. None of those teams are going to. They're going to roll them.
All right, and Tyler, I forgot. You might hate the Bulls more than me. Are you on the Clippers side with us, or are you taking the
Yeah,
Bulls?
I'm on the Clippers here.
Okay, I was wrong.
The only thing that worries me is Paul George was supposed to be on a minutes limit. And then as they started to come back in that game, it was almost like Tyler was like, we're starting to come back. Go back out there.
So they did extend his minutes. I thought they extended his minutes.
He hit his minutes. He went to the bench, and as they came back, he's like, all right, go back out there and win the game. I don't care. But if he's going to play him 30-plus minutes again here, his props are way too low. I mean, who's going to guard him out there? DeMar DeRozan, Patrick Williams, Zach LaVine. Like, dude's going to get the chuck. His points are set at 24.5. I think that's a bit low. You could jump his threes up to 4+ threes made and get plus 180 on that. His points plus assists are 29.5. I love that bet because he does play that almost like point guard role for them. And he could clear that in 30 real points without getting any assist either. So those are my favorite looks in this game. And some of the player performance doubles on him are low. Like Paul George has scored 20-plus points. Clippers win plus 160. Paul George has scored 25-plus and win plus 270. Paul George to hit 4+ threes and win plus 440. So I'm just going to
back all of those.
Yeah, I'm backing Paul George tonight, and I think he picks up the win.
All right, and JSU,
I thought the Clippers were one of those teams too that weren't they holding back their guys' minutes?
Well, because they're pretty much locked in 8 no matter what.
I was trying to tell
why in the world would Ty Lue send him back out there and say go win this game? Like the game doesn't
get the team confidence. I think to get the team confidence.
Or was Paul George pushing to come back into the game?
I don't know because I didn't have it on.
Realistic to me.
I'm sure he didn't. I'm sure he didn't argue, right? I'm sure he didn't argue, but I think it was a good move, man. It's a big win over Utah. It's a team that you might see in the playoffs, a team that you beat last season, and once again, you're bringing more doubt because if you heard Donovan Mitchell in that post game, he sounded like he had no idea what was going on.
Yeah, it was he wants to be gone.
You also got to show their best player who's still sitting at home that it's time to come back and get your ass back on the floor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Tyler and I aren't sure whether or not we expect him back. Do you think we see Kawhi Leonard at all this season?
I don't think so. I hope so. Though.
Wouldn't that be awesome?
I have this weird feeling that Paul George rushing this injury back is him calling him like, I'm ready to go, but I'm not coming back to this scrub squad. Go out there and show me we could win games first.
I mean, scrub squad, they've held their own all year.
Yeah. I mean, they've
held their own. I'm not going to argue that, but if Kawhi walks back on the floor and into the playoffs, he knows if he's by himself and no Paul George, well, I'm right back to just trying to drag these guys through the playoffs by myself. But if Paul George is there
with Memphis and Dallas,
and he already has them winning,
yeah.
And now I come back on the floor and my guy's there with me, it jumps us, I'd say, all the way up to number 2 in the East right now, or in the West right now, as power ranking them. And it's basically them or the Suns, I would say. Because I think Memphis is at that year where they're this is going to be their playoff experience year, like when the Warriors lost to the Spurs before they went on their run. And then next year, Memphis rolls in and just throttles everybody.
Yeah. Hey, this is a good one to set up our next game. Who's the bigger frauds, the Bulls or the Jazz? I say the Bulls. What do you say, JSU?
I say the Bulls.
I mean, I say the Bulls, but can I just say both?
That's what Eric said. That's a tough question. All right, let's break down this last game. And you already talked about it. This game moved out to 13. Wow.
Did you see the news about the 2 big guys for LA?
No.
Both out today, going to play tomorrow. Both
LeBron and AD, yeah.
Both are playing tomorrow?
Both of them, yeah.
They're hopeful to play tomorrow, yeah.
I want to see that. I can't wait for rundown tomorrow to break that down. So Bojan is in, Daniel House in, Wenyen Great Gabriel in. I don't even think that even means anything to DFS. JSU, you pretty much already gave your breakdown on this game, but even at 13, do you like it?
Well, you know me, I don't really like taking these spreads at this high. But I'll tell you right now, I feel more comfortable about betting Utah at that number than I do betting Philly, even though I think Philly blows them out. Because Detroit at least hangs. They'll hang and play tough. I don't trust it. Like the Lakers team, I think if it's anything like the team we saw a few days ago, they're just going to roll over. I mean, Donovan Mitchell's going to go right through them. And they could not. Donovan Mitchell is going to literally go downhill and get layup, dunk, foul, lob to Rudy. They're not going to know how to stop it. They got no one to stop it. So, and then what happens once they figure out how to slow that down? It's going to be 3 for Bojan, 3 for Donnie, 3 for Conley, 3 for Clarkson. Like it's just you take away this, well, we're gonna give you this wide open thing. Because there's no effort. There's no people rotating and running and like it's just not happening. If they get in a fast break scenario with Utah, like half the Lakers team is like sitting back. They're not even running back down the floor. They're sitting back like, oh, they got the ball and there's already 3 people ahead. Oh, whatever, we'll just walk up the floor. Like I literally watched it happen like 5 different times. Where like they'd get the ball, Luke would get the ball, going on a fast break. There's already 2 or 3 people up ahead, and it's 4-on-2. Like, can't do that in the NBA. They're gonna literally destroy you if you do that. Like, that's what's gonna happen. So, if I'm betting a big spread today, it would be this game. I'll tell you that right now.
Tyler, Lakers, Jazz. What do you think?
I'll keep it simple. The Lakers did beat the Jazz the couple times they played this year, but the guy who was the ultimate mismatch for the Jazz, who they had nobody to throw at, isn't there anymore.
Right.
Russell Westbrook ain't winning this game for them. What's he gonna do? Drive into Rudy Gobert all game and just get his shit thrown to the floor? There's only one way to bet this game, and it's Utah.
All right. I like this look here from Eric Chang. I think if I did bet it, how far do I have to scroll up? You guys are love this chat today. I like the Jazz first half here, right? Because doesn't it feel like they just get that huge lead, and then when it's around 10 or 15, I don't know, it's 10 or 15 in the fourth quarter. Maybe the starters go to the bench. I like this first half look here. I think that's the best way.
What's the number, Fred?
Usually it's a derivative, so my guess is -7. Let me pull it up and confirm.
I love that.
It's -8.5.
Yeah,
I still like
8.5. They're gonna be up double digits at the end.
They've definitely.
That's the best bet on the board.
I don't hate laying the 4.5 in the first quarter either.
Yeah,
that's the best bet on the board. Who said that, Eric?
Eric Taylor. Yeah. So, all right, Tyler. Any more props from this game before we go to Gregory Russo's favorite segment?
I mean, just some player performance doubles I'd look at in this one. You can go to Donovan Mitchell 30+ and win at +220. You could do his 5+ threes and win at +300. Or if you think he gets up to 35 and win, that's 6-1.
All right. It's about time for the best bets. And one thing I want to say here, I just got to do this one. Can't wait until tomorrow when you all say, why did I bet the Clippers and Nets? I won't say that. I can go 0-2 on those games, and I'm pretty happy with the handicap that I gave out here today. So I won't say that. I'll give you your props if you win, but I won't be upset about making those bets. I think that we found nice angles in both those positions. So JSU, let's start with you. What's your best bet for today's side total or prop?
Yeah, I mean, I want to steal Eric's bet because that is the best. That's a winner right there.
I'm putting it in right now as we talk.
Like that is a winner right there. That's got to be the best bet. But I'll give a few out. I'm with you. I'm betting the Nets over the Bucks here -2. Betting the Clippers as the dog. I think they win. Plus, what'd you say? 120? What were you getting it at?
It's +117 right now. It went down a
Plus
little while we're talking. Yeah.
All right. And yeah, if you want to take a big spread, it would be Utah -13.5. But I like the look that Eric said in the chat where you just take that first half, whatever it is, 7.5, 8, 8.5, whatever it is, take it. They're going to be up double digits at halftime. So just take that one. Like Tyler said, I mean, what's Russ going to do? Like run into Rudy? Like he's going to be shooting brick jumpers. So, and that's like the only way they have a shot is like him and Malik Monk. Like, I don't even think people understand. They should have lost that game to Dallas by 50 or 60 points. It was that Malik Monk went crazy in the third quarter and hit like 6 threes, it felt like.
That's why you're a better man than me, JSU. I had it on, but I have my 2 TVs going, and I think I looked over like once every 5 minutes.
Yeah, no, I watched it. I had a lot of firing that. And listen, Gaffitz, over under JSU 4'3". All right. Listen. All right. I'm 5'5". My driver's license says 5'6". Don't make me pull it out and show you. All right. I won't go there though. All right. I'm not 5'6". I'm 5'5". I give myself 3/4. Maybe that's a little much. I don't know, but I'm going with not the driver's license of 5'6", but 5'5". I'm confidently 5'5". Hopefully I don't shrink anymore because I'm already short enough, but you never know.
Like that one girl from Sex and the City, Samantha said, though, you're about 6'6" when you stand on all that money you've won. So, Tyler, what's your best bet for the day? Side total or prop?
I mean, this is an ugly slate spread outside of that Milwaukee game. I'm just going to go with what I think is going to happen in that game. Ton of 3-pointers from the Brooklyn side. Give me KD over 2.5 at +108, and give me Seth Curry over 2.5 threes at +104. Those will be my two favorite for the day.
All right. I'm going to go with the Nets -2 here. We've pretty much hit all the reasons why we like that. So I'll go ahead and make that my best bet. And that saves enough time so these guys can get the parlay before the Hardwood live show starts. So, Tyler, what did you cook up for us today?
I'm throwing it together right now. We're going to leave the Bucks and the Nets game out because we are split on it.
Okay.
So we're going to ride. This will get
Better
us
leave
another.
the Hawks Cavaliers out because we're split on that too.
I mean, we're kind of like dwindling the board now.
Yeah, you got to take one of them, Tyler. You got to take one of them.
Yeah, we're taking the Hawks.
At least the Hawks, it was 2-1 on your side. So since you're betting it too, you might as well take the Hawks.
Yeah, we're going to go with Embiid 35+ and Philly stomps Detroit. I think he's in for a big game. Paul George to score 20+. Clippers pick up that win over Chicago. And Trae Young to double-double and then beat Cleveland. That gets you 18-1.
All right. And you, of course, as you cook up more, those will be available to the members of the Run Pure Bets Discord because you gave out one on the show yesterday. Then you went back to the lab or whatever they want to call it, right? And you cooked up two more, do the screenshots in there, and one of those two hit, right? So what a time to be a member. RunPureSports.com, promo code GetBets, JSU. Let's do it quickly, but let's let them know all the great content that Run Pure Sports is going to provide this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, we got all the content, golf content for PGA Showdown. We're going to have a PGA Showdown show tonight on the Mayo Media Network. Where they break down, what happened in round one. They'll break down the round two PGA Showdown for, DK and stuff, give you all the winners there. And then we'll do the same thing again on the Mayo Media Network tomorrow night with me, Big T, and I think Snyder on that one. And we'll give you winners for round three. We'll talk about the cut sweat, who ruined our lineups, who made it through and saved some of our lineups for the weekend. So it's a good show if you like PGA and stuff. And then obviously all the NBA content you could ask for. We got the Hardwood show that's starting up right now. And then we got the Up to Lock show tonight at 6 p.m. And same thing tomorrow. We got all the content. No MMA to this week, but obviously we got a ton of MMA content. NASCAR, we got NASCAR content this weekend. And then getting ready for the baseball to start up. Next week's opening day. So we're going to have all the baseball content, everything you can ask for. Saber Sim's awesome too. If you guys use an optimizer, check them out. They do a really good job with their projections and everything. And I've heard their baseball product. I've never used it for baseball, but I've heard it is fire. So if you're a baseball guy and you use an opto, you should definitely check out Saber Sim because I've heard really good things about their baseball product. Specifically.
Yeah, West Coast Gem says we have F1 content and Run Pure Sports. We also have tennis content. Even though Travis left it off the schedule the other day, we are putting out playbooks every single day that it's on. Of course, they're done for the week now, but we will be back.
What's Mango? Mango was on the Devin Booker side, so
he was.
You're on the wrong side for that, and you're on the wrong side right now, forgetting the tennis winners.
All right, but guys. I want to just thank the chat so much, man. I couldn't even keep up with it today. The show keeps growing, and the chat is more and more lively, so we appreciate that. Give us a thumbs up. Share it with your friends. Let's get even more people in here. So when I forget things like Detroit is 15-2-2 against the spread. You correct me and we get it on the show just for the people who are only listening and don't have time to read the chat. So we appreciate everybody for watching us. Go check out Hardwood Live right now. We'll be back tomorrow, 3:30 Eastern. Run.